All right, welcome back to my third video, my 30-day reflection challenge. Remember, in case you want to join, the 30-day challenge is about reflecting on moments in your life from the past or the present. And maybe you could think towards the future too, I guess. That could help. And just think about stuff, remember stuff, realize stuff, enjoy, going down memory lane about certain things. And hopefully it helps you grow a little more, makes you realize certain things, maybe come out more grateful, more humble, more thoughtful, more connected to yourself, or maybe even people around you. If you don't want to make videos and reflect on video, you don't have to. If you don't want to post anything on social media, you don't have to. But I prefer that you do it in a way that you can track it. So make a journal, make a diary, or just have these conversations with someone you trust, a friend, girlfriend, boyfriend, family member, anyone. Today's video is going to be about loneliness, a topic that I know far too much about, way too much experience in being lonely and being by myself. There are goods and bads, ups and downs to being lonely. Some people might argue that being lonely just isn't good, just isn't helpful, isn't healthy. But I could argue that all day long because there's benefits. And we all know, most of us who are mature, who are adults, or just, woke up to certain facts about life, is that a lot of people just want to be included. A lot of people want to be around other people. A lot of people just can't not be on the scene and not be involved and just be happy. And because of that, a lot of people get in trouble. And then we have people who try to pretend like they're loners, pretend like they like to be by themselves, pretend that they don't F with nobody, pretend that they just the lone wolf, and they're not. They really want to be secretly involved, and they really secretly like the attention and enjoy that stuff. Me personally, there's times in my life where, I wish I was included in certain things. I wish I took certain opportunities. I wish I was at certain events. But in the long haul of it all, sometimes it hurts. But I'm happy the way I am. I'm happy the way my life went so far when it comes to being alone and keeping to myself. Now, as a child, I was a few years younger than most of the kids on my block. So as we got older, they naturally wanted to do teenager things and, be adults, be grown. But me, I grew a little bit slower in that department, and I wasn't always involved. And, we all used to play games, play tag, laugh, do the things you're supposed to do with your neighbors as kids. But I used to be angry at one point at the fact that, I wasn't always involved. I wasn't always included. And I used to hate them for it. Like, genuinely used to hate them. Like, damn, they always forget about me. Damn, they never remember. What if I wanted to play? What if I want to play this game? But it's like, I don't know how to play that game. And then they don't want to sit down and explain the game. You know how it is. But when you realize we all do that. When we all got younger siblings, people we got to care for. And we don't want to explain games to them and break stuff down. And, nobody wants to play football with the little kid. Nobody wants to play basketball with the little kid. Nobody wants to do that because it's annoying. You just want to start the game and play how you want to play, but then you got to modify it for, a handicapped person or, somebody who don't know the rules. Stuff like that. And I had to realize the inner workings of being a teenager and just growing older versus being a kid, a full-blown child. And I had to forgive them for those things in that department. But in school, when you by yourself, this opens up the doors to being bullied, being made fun of, just being left out, being called a weirdo, being called XYZ. And bullying is a whole nother video that I'm going to do. So if you ever experienced bullying or you have someone that you know who's been bullied and you would like to hear more about somebody else's opinion on that, wait for that. But just to stick focus on the loneliness, right? One, I already was lonely a lot in my neighborhood, on my block, often. I would just sit outside, be by myself, play with my toys by myself, exercise by myself, go to the park by myself. So when I got to school, of course, I was just by myself. But see, the difference is, you go into school, you got hundreds of other kids that don't know you, that's going to treat you a certain way and treat you differently because they don't know you from a can of paint. And it's odd that you are by yourself. It's odd that you are lonely, right? But the truth is, you know, it's not fair how they treat people. It's not fair how other kids, and just as you grow older, humans in general treat people that they don't understand, that they don't know. It's crazy. Of course, I think, you know, it settled in when I got to like second grade, but it got to its worst when I was in third and fourth. I will always mention this. Because then people started getting on my nerves. People started bothering me. You know, because I'm quiet, because I'm the shortest one, because, you know, I just didn't sing the songs they sang, do the dances they do, talk how they talk about girls, blah, blah, blah. I just didn't do that stuff. And it just never ended. Until I started lashing out. They started fighting. Started arguing. Started fighting back, man. But then you get called, oh, you know, he crazy. He got anger issues. He wild. Don't sit next to him. Don't be friends with him. Da, da, da. He gonna snap, right? And that's not fun. That just puts you in an even further hole. But what they didn't know, and what I didn't know, is that being alone and being forced to be lonely only makes things worse, especially when it's not a choice. But when you bother somebody who's naturally lonely, willing to be alone, but you criticize them and make them feel worse for being lonely, it only makes them even more lonely, and it makes the side effects of being alone worse. So obviously I developed anger. Obviously I developed social anxiety. Obviously it made me socially awkward. Obviously it just made me not connect with the people around me, as you could guess. And upwards through elementary school into middle school, you know, I tried to make more friends. I became more social. But this is when you go into the phase where you realize when you make intent to make friends, when you choose to make friends, you actually start to communicate. You have to communicate a certain way. You have to talk a certain way. You got to dress a certain way. You got to walk a certain way. Look a certain way. Be a certain way. And if you don't do it, you don't make it for the most part. Now, this would suggest that you're trying to fit in, because obviously you don't have to do this stuff and have to go through these troubles if you don't fit in, which is true but not true. Half the time I was just being myself. Half the time I was just being me. But it just didn't work. People still had shit to say. You know, people still had to mess with me. People still had to bother me. And it's not just me that this happened to. I've seen it happen to other kids. Seen other kids who keep to themselves, who get made fun of, that get made jokes told about them, blah, blah, blah. All that kind of stuff. But because of that, right, it makes you hate people. That makes you not want to deal with people anymore. When I had my time, which I'll discuss in another video even more, about trying to fit in, specifically. But I had my times where I tried to fit in, tried to be included, and it just didn't work out because I knew deep down it wasn't me. I knew deep down I'm trying to be somebody I'm not. I knew deep down they wasn't going to accept me no matter what I do. No matter how I dress, if I tried to have the newest clothes, you know, be up to date with the newest trends, newest conversations, just wasn't going to work. And I knew that deep down. And it only made me feel worse. It only made me feel more isolated, even though I was accepted. Prime example, people who went to middle school with me, you know, I started rapping and all that stuff, trying to be funny, trying, you know, get some laughs, and it worked. And not that I didn't write raps on my own, not that I didn't make poems on my own. I did. I kept it to myself. But, you know, it was just a funny time, you know, because rapping was a thing. Who didn't try to start a rap group? Who didn't try to be funny? Who didn't try to spit bars when they was in middle school? It was fun, but I also knew it wasn't really me. Now, we're just going to jump and segue into high school, right? Because it wasn't much difference. From middle school to high school, you know, I started to find my own music taste, start listening to rock music, pop, other stuff. I wasn't really pleased with the state of hip hop, rap music at the time in the 2010s and stuff like that. It just wasn't there for me. Music took a totally different direction. I didn't like it. It didn't match my personality. It didn't match my mind. It didn't just fit. It just didn't fit. I grew up in a house with hip hop and R&B, but as we all know, the 2000s hip hop and R&B just had a different feeling to it. But that 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12 era and beyond till now, it's a whole different game. But just that alone, the music differences, the taste, your personality, your taste in certain things automatically disqualifies you from being included in certain things. Now, as we get to high school, we all know that social interactions damn near triple, 10 times worse than they are in elementary, middle school, and high school, because we are starting to be adults. We are starting to really develop our personalities, really be influenced by society, really be influenced by those around us, our family members, things that are going on in our lives. It really starts to take form when you're a teenager. And in high school, the same effects happen, but I also started to be like, you know what? I don't care about people's approval. I don't care about trying to fit in anymore. I don't care about trying to be accepted. But the problem was, you get so used to not expressing yourself when you're lonely all the time and you keep to yourself all the time and you don't get involved. You get so used to, you have so much practice not being involved, not showing who you are, not being who you are, that when you finally want to do it, it's awkward, it's weird, it's hard, it's difficult. In fact, it makes you more angry at the fact that you want to express yourself, but you can't. But guess why you can't? Because you spent too much time not expressing yourself. Then now when you finally want to, now that the opportunities in front of you, you just can't do it. So that loneliness became a double-edged sword in high school. Because not only was I already scared of being judged, not only was you already scared of being left out, not included, but now I was already scared of once I do really let it all out and be me, am I going to show it right, or am I going to be misunderstood? Because I had bad habits and bad experiences of when I do speak my mind and do be me and be myself, even with family. It just didn't work out. It just didn't feel right. So, multiply that in high school, you know, you get made fun of for talking different, walking different, who you think you are, or you're not from Philly, or you must not have went to school in Philly. Why you talk like that? Why you act like that? I don't act like shit. I grew up in Philly, born and raised. Half of y'all live right around the corner from me. Y'all live 10, 15, 20 minutes walk away from me. We grew up in the same neighborhood. We went to the same parks. Y'all just don't know me. Some of y'all from different parts of Philly, that's cool. But a lot of people went to the same middle school, same elementary school, if not the next one over, and if not the next one over from that. We ain't no different. I seen the same things you seen. I seen drugs. I heard people get shot. I struggled. You know, same stank alleyways, dirty boulevard, accidents. I seen it all the same way you seen it. But the way I interpreted my environment is different than you. That's all. But somehow that gets you left out. Somehow that gets you put in a box. Somehow it gets you treated differently. Puts you in a loneliness mindset, a loneliness state. And in high school, again, the double-edged sword comes out because it ruins your self-esteem, it ruins your confidence, it ruins your pride. And the thing is, I know who I was. I knew what I wanted. I just didn't know how to execute because you get so used to being by yourself. And even till this day, we're going to leave high school and start talking about today. After graduation, working, socializing, having to make more friends outside of your own circle, having to meet new people. We all agree that it's still hard anyway, for anybody. It's hard to trust people. It's hard to really get to know people. How you know they're not going to stab you in the back? How you know they really getting to know you How you know they really got the best interest for you? How you know that? You don't. And that's a part of being an adult. That's a part of life. That's a part of growing. You just have to take that risk. You find out when you find out. Just keep your eyes open. But what I can say is that all in all, now that you out in the real world, I'm confident. I can walk into a room, not hesitate, speak my mind for the most part, pick and choose what I want to say, when I want to say it, how I want to say it, be who I want to be, express who parts of me that I want to express, and feel no shame about anything. But is it still there? Yeah. A lot of time when I'm out and about till this day, I walk into rooms and I just feel like I don't fit in. I feel like even amongst people I've worked with for months, years, I just feel like I don't fit in. It's just always like that. And it could be a side effect of just not fitting in, growing up for so many years, that even in a place where I do fit in and I should fit in, I just feel like I don't. And maybe that's something that therapy needs to probably break down, possibly, because I don't have a full definitive answer as to why I always feel like that. People would try to argue that, oh, well, you're just different. You're just intelligent. You just, smart people never fit in and da-da-da. And you could argue that, and I'll take that to an extent, but I don't like to brag. I don't like to think I'm just so much smarter than everybody else that I'm just the broken puzzle piece or whatever, the part that don't fit. I don't like to think like that. But, even if that is the case, and that's just what it is. But it's not always a great feeling. And I always wonder and ask myself, do this feeling of isolation, do this feeling of being the missing person, the part that don't fit, will that always remain for the rest of my life? Not that I'm not okay with it, because I'm okay with it. I'm used to it. But sometimes it's annoying. And sometimes that loneliness, just comes back to bite you on your ass. And I'll just say this in closing, that I learned a lot by being alone. I've learned so much. You can observe more when you're alone. When you're not involved in the crowd, when you're outside of the crowd, you get to notice certain patterns. You get to see the way people think, see the way people behave, the lies, the truths, the acts that people put on. You get to see more of it. And guess what? You actually get to spare yourself a lot of drama because you can be alone and sit back and watch. Something that a lot of people need to do more. Instead of being in there and then you get caught up and you make mistakes and you get involved in things that you really shouldn't or don't even really want to get involved in because you just can't be alone. I've learned that reading my books, minding my business, talking to a few select people, even amongst my own friends. Sometimes I still feel like I don't fit in with my own friends. I don't be up to date with certain stuff, and my own friends be mad. Be like, man, you never be on this. You such an old head, da-da-da. My girlfriend come here, you like an old man. You such a grumpy old man. I got coworkers that been saying that at different jobs. Like, man, you an old man. You an old soul. Well, you just never do this. You never do that, man. You different, da-da-da, right? I know I'm different. I know I had a different kind of experience. I know my mind is different. I know the way I perceive my life is different. Other people in my situation have turned out differently. I know that. Those facts. But a lot of it was forged out of loneliness. A lot of it had to do with a crap ton of isolation and having nothing but time to think and be alone. For better or for worse. So we're going to wrap that up. A little bit on loneliness. Do you relate? Have you felt lonely? Do you feel lonely today as you listen to this? Reflect with me. Hope you enjoyed that. Drop a like, comment, and a share. All that. Leave a reflection in the bottom and do your own. Thanks for listening.